Guys, welcome back to Freckles and Blondie, the podcast where we geek out over one of our favorite shows, Lost. I'm Randi.
I'm Tiffany.
And today, if you can believe it, we're discussing the season 1 finale, Exodus Part 2. This was a 2-hour finale that originally aired on May 25th, 2005. It was written by Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse and directed by Jack Bender. So it's the same people who wrote and directed Part 1 of Exodus.
It's a good continuation. It flows perfectly.
Yeah, most definitely. There's not a lot of inconsistencies, which is nice.
No, yeah, definitely not. It really feels a lot like the pilot to me. And that is just the best because I love the pilot.
Yeah, you're right. It does feel a lot like the pilot. I hadn't really thought about that.
I know I've said this before. They really take their time and like the main events that are happening, we could have squished this all into 1 hour-long thing. And we could have hit all the high points. Really, all that happens is the raft sets sail, Walt gets kidnapped, the other guys go get dynamite and they blow up the hatch, and then Sayid and Charlie rescue Aaron. Like, these are all things that we could have done in an hour. I mean, it would have been a jam-packed hour, but easily in 2 hours. But to have 3 gives us all this time for all these, like, character beats and just conversations. I feel like so much of this episode is just conversations.
Yeah, you're right. And it's done so well that it never feels like the episode is dragging.
No.
I'm never thinking like, come on, let's get on with it. It's paced really nicely.
Yeah, they're meaningful and it shows you who these people are. And it's really nice how we paint a little picture of all of our main characters. Like everyone gets their moment.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Man, we're gonna have like nothing negative to say, are we?
Probably not. I mean, I don't know if I like this part 2 as much as part 1, but it doesn't do a lot of things wrong. It's pretty great.
It is pretty great.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, if you will believe it, Randi is sick now. And we really don't record together. I know we've told people in the past, we don't record in the same room. We do it over Skype. Randi is thousands of miles away.
Yeah, I'm literally 2,000 miles away and I still caught Tiffany's cold. So thank you, Tiffany.
It was a powerful cold.
Clearly.
I hope the listeners don't catch it.
Yeah. Brace yourselves, guys.
Yeah, because I'm still coughing. It's kind of annoying. But I got my tea. Randi's got her tea. So we're good to go.
Yep.
We're here to do this.
Yeah. We are committed. Shall we get into it?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Previously on Lost, Flight 815 crashed on a mysterious island. Rousseau's transmission was found to have been playing for 16 years. Someone attacked Claire. The group discovered there are other people on the island. Locke found the hatch. Basically, if you haven't been watching this entire season, you need to go back and start from the beginning.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
Yeah. How did you get here? Where did you go wrong? We open on a shot of the eye of Claire's crying baby. Everyone is preparing to head to the caves for safety from the others, but Claire is feeling overwhelmed. Charlie comes over and says everything's going to be okay, but Claire doesn't believe it. Charlie approaches Sayid and asks for a gun to protect Claire. He thinks the others might show up before nightfall. Sayid declines, reminding him of what happened the last time he got hold of a gun.
That time when you killed someone?
Yeah, remember that, Charlie? He tells Charlie he needs to help Claire pack and get her and the baby to the caves as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you should be doing, Charlie.
Yeah, 'cause poor Claire. Things are stressful enough, and then she has to have a newborn baby on top of everything else.
I know, she's so stressed out. I feel for her. I'm like, ugh, babies are so hard. I imagine they're much harder on a deserted island.
Yeah.
Like, poor girl. But yeah, I like how Saeed's just quick to the, nope, no gun for you. Definitely not. We know what happens when you have one of those.
Yeah. And even though I'm not mad that Charlie killed Ethan, it was definitely the right decision for Saeed not to just go handing out guns.
Yeah. Well, we've learned that Charlie is ruled by his emotions. Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful with someone like that.
Definitely.
And Saeed is the complete opposite. Where he's completely logical. He's Mr. Rationality here.
Yeah, he's never emotional. It's almost freaky.
It's like, I mean, that's why he's such a great soldier and he's so capable because he can compartmentalize that way.
Yeah. At the Black Rock, Hurley wants to know how a massive ship ended up in the middle of the jungle. And Rousseau responds, "Are you on the same island I am?" She tells the group the dynamite is in the hold of the ship and pieces out. Ars says he's not down for exploring some ghost ship, and he and Hurley wait outside while Locke, Jack, and Kate enter the ship.
I would be all about exploring that ship. That looks fun.
Are you serious? Tiffany, you would have been dead like after 5 days if you had landed on this island.
No, I would just have Saeed escort me everywhere.
I guess. You would have gone on every hiking trip. You would have climbed the plane or boontie. You've done everything.
I probably would have died in the plane. Because I would have been Locke's buddy. I would be like, yes, this place is awesome.
Oh, kudos. I don't think I would have gone in there. It's pretty scary looking.
I'm with Locke here. He looks really psyched about the ship, and so am I.
Of course he does.
Because I'm like, how did the ship get here? It's so cool.
It is pretty crazy. Inside the ship, they find a box of explosives. They also find a lot of skeletons still in handcuffs. Locke speculates that this was a slave ship, probably heading to a mining colony. Outside, Ars is getting angry when Hurley appears to be less than enthralled with his conversation. He says he knows a clique when he sees one, and he's sorry he's not cool enough to join their group. He says there are plenty of other survivors on the plane crash, and they're all people too. So it's like, yeah, we get it. Ars is annoying.
Yeah, jealous much? Jesus Christ.
I know.
He's only gonna get more annoying.
Yeah. They're just trying to make us not like him, so we're not sad when he dies in about 30 seconds.
Trying to lessen the trauma.
Yeah. Which, that's fine with me.
Yeah. Okay.
Kate wants to open the dynamite case right away, but Jack thinks it's a better idea to bring it outside first. Ars is somehow still complaining to Hurley when thankfully he's interrupted by the appearance of the dynamite. He freaks out, makes Jack and Locke set the crate down very gently before having everyone back away. While Ars opens the crate of dynamite, he tells everyone that dynamite is nitroglycerin wrapped in clay, and that the inventor of nitroglycerin died while experimenting with it. Mid-sentence, the dynamite explodes, taking Ars with it. Hurley comments with his signature dude, and we cut to the title scene.
Oh, he's so irritating. When he talks to Kate and he's like, "Now, princess, give me your shirt." I'm just so irritated with him. Like, especially because he's wearing 2 shirts. He could totally use his own shirt.
I didn't even notice that. Oh, so true.
What a jerk. I'm glad you blew up.
So unnecessary, Ars.
I also feel like he picks up the worst possible stick of dynamite. It's like the one that's all crusted over with leaking fluid. Like,
you're supposed to be the expert here. Pick one that doesn't look like it's literally about to explode.
Right.
It's such a good, it's so surprising. I always forget that he blows up literally when he's in the middle of some sentence. It's kind of great.
It is very startling because nobody's really died that way.
Yeah, I know.
So abruptly.
Yeah, no build up whatsoever. It's nice.
Yeah, and it's not really sad at all.
No, it's really not. You're not emotionally invested in the character of Ars, so it's fine.
Yeah.
In a repeat flashback, we again see the scene where Sun brings Jin some food in the airport and accidentally spills coffee on him. Jin heads to the bathroom. We get a quick shot of Saeed being let go by airport security after Shannon left his bag unattended. In the bathroom, a man approaches Jin and begins speaking Korean. He says he works for Mr. Pike and that he knows Jin is planning to run away. He tells Jin that if he follows through with this plan, he'll lose Sun. He says that Jin is not free and never will be.
I like how in this version we get what Jin says to Sun when she spills the coffee. Because he said he asks her if she's okay. And I feel like that's such a important detail that you didn't get the first time. Like, he's not a jerk. He seemed like he was annoyed just because of the way it was filmed before. And because we don't know what they're saying. But he's not. He was still looking out for Sun.
Yeah, you're right. I like that detail as well.
I don't know how anyone would know he was trying to escape. Like, he just had a conversation on a rowboat with his dad in the middle of the water. Like, nobody could possibly be overhearing that.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, how else would they know? This guy is powerful, I guess.
Yeah, he's like the Korean mobster. I don't know, maybe Jin was making other plans for when they got to America that Sun didn't know about.
There could be stuff we just don't know about, I guess.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if this conversation he had with this, random guy would have changed his mind about running away with Sun. Like, would he have gone back and continued working for her father to save his relationship with her? Or
right. It made me wonder why Jin wants to leave the island so badly. Because it's clearly really dangerous, and even their escape plan wasn't gonna work out. At least he thinks that. So why does he want to leave now? Getting rescued doesn't seem like a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess, like, in the last episode, he was saying he feels guilty about what he's put Sun through. So.
Yeah. Jin's whole problem is he needs to realize that all Sun wants is him.
Yeah.
They could go build a nice little house on the island and live together, and I feel like Sun would be totally cool with that.
Yeah, they could have their little herb garden in the back.
It would be nice and cozy.
Oh, if I was writing the show, that's how I would have written it. On the raft, things are going pretty well so far. As they leave the island, they're able to see how big it really is, and Michael wonders how a place this big never got discovered. Walt hopes that everyone they left behind will be okay, at least until they can bring back help. Sawyer's in such a jolly mood that he's actually singing, and I'm sure this is going to go great. They're going to get rescued and everything is going to be just fine.
Yeah. Everyone's super upbeat here.
Yeah.
Did you catch what Sawyer was singing?
It was like Bob Marley?
Yeah. It's called the Redemption Song, which is, suitably lost.
Of course.
And so here are some lines from the Redemption Song, okay?
Okay.
Old pirates, yes, they rob. Sold I to the merchant ships. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop time. Fun stuff, right? Especially this first line about pirates robbing you. It's a little prophetic.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of great. Of course he would be singing that song.
Of course. And he's bonding with Michael. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. He's singing, like I said. He's like jolly. It's like
he's just a happy guy in this episode.
Yeah, until the end. But yeah.
Yeah. This whole raft just feels like this great symbol of hope for them. Like, everyone is in good spirits over the raft. The people who were like cheering as they left, and now here they are on it. Like, everyone's just so happy.
Yeah, which makes it even, if you know what's coming, it makes it even harder.
Yeah, of course.
On the island, Shannon is struggling with all of her bags. Saeed comes over, asking if she really needs all of this stuff. Once it spills on the ground, he sees that it belonged to Boone, and Shannon tearfully insists that she needs these things. She thinks that the others are going to find them anyway, even if they try to hide in the caves, and it's all just a little bit too much. Saeed offers to help carry her stuff, and they leave with the rest of the group.
And it's so sweet.
Yeah, it is sweet and like a little sad at the same time.
Yeah. Because at first when I see Shannon with all that stuff, you're just like, it's the same old materialistic Shannon. And then you see that it's Boone's stuff and she just can't let it go. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Poor Shannon.
I know.
And Saeed is so sweet to her.
Back at the Black Rock, Hurley is clearly still in shock after Arst's death, and Kate asks if he's okay. Hurley says Arst was just trying to help. He thinks it's his fault it happened, and tells Kate he's kind of bad luck. Kate assures him it was just an accident. And I love, like, Hurley's dazed expression when he's just sitting on that log.
He's like, that was messed up.
Yeah.
And it's like exactly what we're all thinking.
Yeah. And it's great too because I feel like Jack and Locke have like we don't see their reactions to our set. They just keep on doing what they need to do.
Yeah, they're just like, whatever, he was annoying.
Exactly. And Hurley's like, we just saw someone explode in front of us.
Yeah,
like, this
is the normal human reaction.
Exactly. It's kind of great.
Yeah, that was like, his reaction to that was my laugh out loud moment from the episode.
Yeah.
I never laugh out loud at stuff, so kudos to Hurley. It's always Hurley.
Of course.
Or Sawyer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hurley's the best. Jack and Locke seem unfazed by Arst's untimely death. They very carefully remove the dynamite they need to blow up the hatch, while Locke talks about how he used to play Operation as a kid. Jack is less than amused by his jokes. He asks Locke if he likes to play games, to which Locke replies, absolutely.
He makes me so happy, Randy.
Oh, man. I'm glad he makes you happy.
How can you not love him when Jack is picking up the dynamite and he's like, bzzz.
That's not funny!
That's hilarious.
Ours just exploded in front of them. Locke is... I don't even know. I don't have a word for him, but...
He is so funny.
Yeah, and he has that creepy smile of his... Oh, Locke, you're just living on like a totally different world that I don't understand.
It's so funny that you find him creepy, because I just think he's like, got this twinkle in his eye, like a little kid who's just like enjoying the hell out of this whole experience. I just love it.
Yeah, I can see why you would love it, but it's a little hard to relate to, but...
And he says with such conviction when he's responding to Jack, when he's like, do you like to play games? And he's like, absolutely. It's
I know.
Just like, bring it.
Oh, gosh.
I'm so here for this.
Maybe I find it creepy because when I'm watching the scene, I'm imagining myself in that situation. Like if I was holding live dynamite and moving it, or, you know, and Locke did that to me, I'd be like, dude, shut your mouth. This is not a game.
I don't think we'd get along very well on the island, Randy.
I know.
I feel like I'd be the one like, zzz.
Yeah, I don't think we would either. Sad.
I was trying to think about why Locke likes games, because we've definitely seen that over and over, like the backgammon and the board games and all his flashbacks. And I was thinking that games are like an escape for him. You know how people, you know, maybe they're unhappy with their life and they like play video games all the time or something, and they just try to like almost compensate and live like a great life through games.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's kind of John Locke, you know? He's always had such a horrible life, so of course he would enjoy games because it's just emotionally freeing to play a game.
That's such a good point. It's like his escape.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so now this whole experience on the island is kind of like a big game for him, because it's an escape from this horrible, horrible life that he's had.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, it's understandable. Again, it's not a game though. It's his life and death. But yeah, I get why he would feel that way. I was still wishing when I was watching this episode, because you mentioned a couple weeks ago that it would have been interesting if Locke had told people like what happened to him, especially Jack, because then you know people would understand him a lot more. And the whole time I was watching this, I kept wanting that to happen. That would have been so interesting.
Yeah, especially with their big conversation later.
Yeah,
that would have been a great moment for that because, you know, Jack's reaction to it is just, you're crazy. And if he just, like, knew that he has, like, actual solid reasons for the things he thinks, maybe he wouldn't feel so much that way.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just looking at it like anyone would look at it. So, yeah, I kind of wish they had done that. It would have been interesting. Charlie finds Claire still packing up her stuff. He's very helpfully constructed a baby Bjorn to transport the baby in. Rousseau suddenly rushes up, yelling that she needs Saeed. Charlie rushes off to go and find him, leaving Claire and the baby. Rousseau is very interested in the baby, asking Claire if she can hold him. When Claire looks at the scratches on Rousseau's arm, she has a sudden memory of attacking Rousseau. She asks her when she did that and why she was attacked.
Yeah, it's a very interesting detail to get that Rousseau might have been involved in what happened to Claire.
Yeah.
And it's just dropped in there, and we really don't touch it much in this episode.
Yeah, it's not explained for a really long time, I feel like, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, but it's so, like, consistent. We'll get this explanation later, but, like, she should notice that right now, and it's just so well done. I'm so impressed with, like, the restraint that they have to not give away what was going on there yet.
Yeah, just all these little hints they keep dropping about different things.
Mm-hmm.
In a flashback, Charlie is frantically searching his hotel room for drugs. He tells the girl in his bed that he has a flight to catch in a couple of hours. She asks for one more hit before he goes, but he lies and tells her the drug is all gone. She doesn't believe him, and it turns out she isn't a fan of Drive Shaft either. The two of them fight, and eventually Charlie is able to push her off. She storms out, but not before calling him pathetic. Yeah, again, this is just one of those flashbacks that shows how far Charlie has come in his time on the island.
It's so depressing because he's so trashy. I'm like, ugh, this is not the Charlie we love.
I know, he's so much better than that. Ugh. Charlie finds Saeed leading the group heading toward the caves. Before he can explain what's happened, they hear screaming and run back to the beach. They find Sun, who's with Claire. She's been knocked out. Rousseau and the baby are gone. Charlie punches Saeed, saying that this is his fault, but Saeed stops him. He says if they leave now, they can catch up to Rousseau because Saeed knows exactly where she's going.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Nobody can handle their feelings on this island. It just drives me crazy.
It's a little ridiculous, the way he just immediately punches Saeed.
Yeah, this is Saeed's fault? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like, Charlie, I know this is an awful situation, but please calm down. Think about what you're doing.
So ridiculous. You are lucky Saeed didn't punch you back, because it would have knocked your teeth out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Saeed shows, I mean, he shows great leadership throughout this episode, I feel like.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I feel like he shows great leadership this whole season, really.
Yeah.
He's always so patient and understanding with everybody. And he just gets the freaking job done.
Yeah. And I feel like because I feel like we were talking last week that, like, why did Hurley go on the trip to the Black Rock instead of someone like Saeed? But, like, it makes more sense that he didn't go now because they needed someone at the beach. He wasn't going to lose it, you know, at the first opportunity, at the first sign of conflict or danger or whatever. So
yeah, and it makes sense for like someone
they left Saeed behind.
True. It makes sense to leave like someone who's really capable with the majority of the people, because the majority of the people are on the beach. So someone should be there to like help out. Really, maybe Saeed should be with doing the dynamite stuff, and Jack should be leading these people. But this works too.
Yeah.
Like if he is the leader, you would think he would be doing that.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said, the majority of the people are on the beach heading to the caves, so.
Right.
But I guess you could make the argument that Saeed doesn't want to have anything to do with the hatch. Like, he's not going to go on a mission to find some dynamite.
That's true. He's been pretty clear about his feelings.
Exactly. So,
like, negative.
Yeah, no thanks.
Though I can also see Saeed being like, all right, I do not support this, but you guys are going to kill yourselves, so I will do this for you.
Yeah, because knowing Saeed, he probably knows all about dynamite and how to handle it.
Yeah,
so.
He should just run around the island fixing everybody's problems. He's like, here's some radar for the raft, and
yeah, exactly.
Here's some dynamite for you. I got this all under control. Oh, here's Claire's baby.
At the Black Rock, Jack and Locke have finished with the dynamite. Jack thinks they should carry it all in one pack, but Locke suggests splitting it up. They need 3 sticks to blow the hatch, so they'll take 6 in 2 separate packs, just in case. Kate insists on taking one of the packs, but Jack isn't going to let that happen. They start arguing, and Locke suggests drawing straws. That way, fate can decide. Jack asks Hurley if he also wants to get in on the dynamite carrying fun, but Hurley just points at the piece of arse on Jack's shoulder. They draw straws, and Locke and Kate are chosen for dynamite duty. Jack, of course, is not happy about this.
I love Locke's solution. Let's just let fate decide.
Yeah, of course.
Like, so feeling Kate's frustration here.
Really? I don't really get it.
The frustration is that he's trying to control her and not letting her make her own decision. I know that he's trying to protect her, but the way he's doing it, he's trying to control her.
I don't see it that way at all. He's trying to protect her. This is like dangerous stuff. Ours just died. There's no way he's gonna let her carry that dynamite.
It's just like, it's so patronizing the way he does it though. He's like, Kate says, I need to do this. And
yeah, but why does she need to do this? Like, why would she need to do this? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, then he should ask her why she needs to do this, but he doesn't. He just says, Kate, this is not your decision. And it's like, it is her decision whether she wants to put herself on the line or not. Like, she's not dictating what you should do.
Yeah, but it's like, why should she risk her life any more than Jack or Locke? I feel like
why not?
If Jack had stopped and asked her why does she need to do this, she wouldn't have had a good answer. Like, it just feels like she needs to be seen doing something on this mission. Like, she wanted to come, she volunteered to come because she wasn't good at saying goodbyes, and now she's here. She's like, I have to do this. And it's like,
she
not
wants
really. You
to
don't
contribute.
have to do this.
She wants agency. And if she's just like floating around, like, that's not what she's here for. She came to help.
Well, it's not like she's the only one. I mean, Hurley's not jumping up to carry the dynamite either, and he's supposedly there to help as well.
No, and he doesn't want to, and that's his choice. Like, that's totally fine. It's just that he's like trying to rob her of her choice. That's frustrating.
I don't think so. I don't think she has a good enough reason to want to do this. I mean, Jack's their leader, and I see him, this is 100% him just trying to protect her. Especially, and I think it's especially heightened because ours just exploded right in front of them.
Well, of course. But it's just like, I know that this comes from a place of wanting to protect her, but it's just the lack of listening that, like, annoys me and is annoying Kate. Like, why does she have no opinion here?
I mean, I don't know. I don't see it that way, but it's like what Jack says later on in this episode. It's like, everyone wants me to be a leader until I make a decision they don't like, and then all of a sudden, no one gives a crap that they elected me to be the leader.
Yeah, it's true, but, I mean, nobody did elect him. He just kind of, like, is the leader. But, I mean,
they chose him for this.
They did. He was definitely pushed into this role. But I wouldn't say, like, everyone in this island, like, decided. I don't even know how to describe it. Cause I wouldn't say that this was something that everyone agreed with. You know, they didn't sit down and be like, who should be our leader? You know, it just kind of happened naturally. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll talk about that when Jack says it. And I think that it's a great point. But, like, here in this scene, I am totally with Kate.
No, I'm not. She should have known Jack was never going to let her do this if he could help it. She doesn't need to do this. No, I don't get it. To me, it feels like, I mean, it's like the common complaint people have against Kate, that she always, and we'll see this a lot more in later seasons, she's usually the one that has to jump up. She has to go on the mission. She has to be the one to climb the tree. She has to be the one, in this case, to carry the dynamite. And good for her. I mean, she's contributing, she's doing her part. But, like, sometimes it's not always the best idea.
But there's no difference between her doing it or Jack. Neither of them's more capable at this. So it shouldn't matter. Like, Jack is also the first person to, like, volunteer and want to help and do stuff. So why should he get this moment and she doesn't?
I mean, the only argument would be because he's the leader. Like,
yeah, that means nothing. Who cares?
It means you're just something.
You're carrying dynamite. If you're the leader, maybe you shouldn't be the one who blows up because other people are relying on you.
Yeah, but if you're the leader, people would, expect you to step up and risk yourself for things like this. That's part of what comes with being a leader.
See, I think the opposite. Like, the leader should be the one who's protected and is delegating.
Okay.
Fundamental Jack disagreements, as usual.
Mm-hmm. On the raft, Michael tests the transmitter that Sayid gave him, hoping that a passing ship will come and find them. Sawyer, being short of reading material, has decided to crack open the bottle of messages from everyone still on the island. We find out Hurley's message was about leaving his lottery winnings to his mom. Walt asks Sawyer how he would feel if he read his private message, and Sawyer tells him the only letter he's ever written is to the man he's going to kill. Walt wants more details, but Sawyer doesn't give.
I love Walt's reaction. He's like such a child. He's like, what happened? Why? Tell me more. Yeah. Like, he just has a question after question after question. Sawyer's like, okay, go away.
Yeah. Of course Sawyer's reading those messages. Like, oh, you were doing so well, Sawyer.
Of course he is.
It's just annoying. Sayid and Charlie find the case of guns before going after Rousseau. Sayid says that Rousseau must be heading toward the black smoke, the same black smoke she saw when the others took her baby. She's going to try and make a trade with them. As Sayid hands Charlie a gun, he tells him it's not about revenge and not to make it personal. Claire runs up, crying and insisting that she's coming with them. She says it's her fault Aaron was taken, and we finally get a name for the baby. Charlie looks at her and promises that he'll get Aaron back. Yeah, it's so sweet.
Yeah. And Sayid is so wise. He just has such perspective to know that, Rousseau's not just some crazy lady with a gun. She's a woman who lost her baby years ago, and it's been driving her crazy ever since.
Yeah.
And it's just remarkable that, like, she tortured him and he still has such compassion for her.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the compassion he has for her, especially at the end of this episode. Thank God for Sayid, otherwise I feel like it could have ended very badly between them.
That should be the motto of Lost. Thank God for Sayid.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting out fires left and right.
Mm-hmm. At the airport, Walt is doing a good job of ignoring Michael completely. Michael tries his best, telling Walt that Vincent will be fine, and dogs fly in the luggage compartment all the time, but he gets no response. He tells Walt he needs to call work, but he walks away and calls his mom instead. Michael doesn't know what he's going to do with Walt and asks her if she can take him. Michael says Walt was never supposed to be his, and that this was never part of the plan. He hangs up the phone and turns around only to see Walt standing right behind him. Michael starts to explain, but Walt interrupts, saying he needs new batteries for his video game.
And you will get those batteries because you are a horrible father.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
Oh, God. I just can't imagine saying those things about my child and then him overhearing it, of all things.
Yeah. And Walt must have heard most of that, but...
That would just, like, shatter your psyche to hear your parent talk about how, like, you're not supposed to be mine. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I feel a little bad for Michael, though, because he wasn't expecting any of this. It's
Sure.
kind of a lot.
Call your mom and say, hey, can you help me out? Not, can you take him? Like, that's a big difference.
Yeah, he should have definitely worded it better. I was just saying, like, if I was in the situation, I could see myself calling my mom and saying the same thing. Like, this is never supposed to happen. Like, what am I going to do now?
No, I get that part too. It's the fact that he just wants his mom to take Walt completely. That's the part that crosses the line. It's like, you're responsible for this child. You can't just dump him off on somebody now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I get where he's coming from. It's not good, but I get it. Like, he just found out, 2 days ago when Brian showed up at his door that Susan died and Brian can't take Walt because he's freaky or whatever. So,
because he's freaky.
Yeah. And then Michael's thinking also, like he says, like, I've got a job. I gotta leave for early in the morning. What am I supposed to do with this kid? Like, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but welcome to being a parent. Like, get with it, dude. I'm sorry.
That's true. That's why I'm never gonna be a parent.
It's not an easy transition for anyone.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is what we theorized in Michael's episode. We talked about how, like, fate does not want Michael to be Walt's parent. And that's what he's saying. He's like, Walt was never supposed to be mine. And that's kind of what the universe has been telling him this whole time.
Yeah, that's true. It's just unfortunate all around.
It is.
Poor Walt. Poor Michael. On the raft, Michael lets Walt have a turn at steering. They're going north by northeast, hoping to hit land or a shipping lane. Walt asks Michael why he and his mom didn't stay together, and Michael says they tried, but their lives just went in different directions. Michael tells him his mom didn't want Walt to see him, thinking that was best. Walt says she was wrong. The raft hits a log, and the rudder falls off and starts to float away. Sawyer jumps in to save the rudder, and Michael and Jin tow him back in. As Michael hands Sawyer his shirt back, he discovers the gun Sawyer has been keeping secret.
It's just not fair, Sawyer. You try to do the selfless thing, and now Michael's pissed at you.
Yeah.
Because Jack gave you a gun to protect everybody, and now they're mad.
Yeah. Well, maybe... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Sawyer should have told everyone on the raft that he has a gun, but... Yeah, kudos for Sawyer. He pretty much jumps in straight away.
He does.
To save that rudder, so...
I feel like in a split-second decision, Sawyer often does the right thing. And...
yeah, lately.
Yeah, and I think... Like, as we keep going, we should watch and see if there's any pattern to, like, the spontaneous decisions he makes and the ones where he kind of stews on it.
Oh, I feel like you're so right. Like, if he takes a second to think about it, he's always going to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, but it's like his instinct is to do the right thing. But when he starts, like, thinking back and forth, that's when he's going to start doing the wrong thing.
Sawyer, go with your instincts, always. Jack very carefully hands Kate her backpack full of dynamite while she apologizes. They agree to stagger their formation and start to head back to the hatch. Jack tells them if they hear or see anything, to leave the dynamite behind and run.
Why isn't Locke leading if he is the one who knows where to go?
Yeah. Very weird.
Jack's
Very
like,
weird.
I'll go first. Locke, make sure I'm going the right way. I'm like, just let him go first.
Yeah, I don't know why Locke wouldn't insist on going first, but okay. The group arrives at the caves. Shannon looks at the place where Boone died, and Sun comes over and tells her that Boone died bravely. Sun asks Shannon if she thinks everything that they've been through is some sort of punishment for the things they did before and secrets they kept. Who do you think is punishing us? Shannon asks. Sun says fate, but Claire chimes in, declaring that there's no such thing as fate. So there's lots of interesting themes brought up in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like fate and free will, which I feel like they hit on pretty hard throughout this whole episode.
Yeah. It's nice to hear this from these characters because I feel like we always put these words into Locke and Jack and even like Charlie's mouths, but rarely do we hear from like Sun and Claire and Shannon. And so I like their perspectives. But I think it's weird that Claire is like, there's no such thing as fate. Like she's so, you know, I feel like she's the one who's been so connected to this kind of mysticism. And here it's like that is completely gone.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you have to attribute it to the fact that her baby's been taken and she's kind of, you know, freaking out about that.
Yeah. That's a good explanation.
Because, with her background and, like, what we know of her backstory...
She's the one who had a psychic tell her that her plane was gonna... or that she was gonna have this baby.
Right. And that she had to be the one to raise it.
And put her on a plane that was going to crash. Like,
right, exactly. So,
I think if anyone should be buying this, it should be you.
Yeah.
You and Locke. But, yeah, I feel like all this stuff where they're talking about being punished for the things they did before... This is what made so many people think that this was purgatory. Do you remember that when this was airing live?
I don't remember the reaction to this specific episode, but yeah, I mean, they call it out in this scene specifically, so.
Yeah, like, I remember not necessarily like this episode in particular, but around this time, season 1, 2, 3, everyone was like, this is just purgatory. And eventually it became such a like accepted fan theory that the creators had to be like, it is not purgatory.
Right.
So that people wouldn't just like give up on the show and figure that they've solved it. But
I feel like when you get to this, like this is the season 1 finale, like you have to have more faith in these writers. They're not going to just call it out in the season 1 finale saying, is this purgatory? And have that be the actual answer. That would be such a letdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, definitely. But I see why people thought that was what it was, for sure.
Yeah. But no, you're right. I remember having conversations with people and reading lots of stuff online where people were convinced it was purgatory and just like stopped watching the show because they were like, that's dumb.
What?
I'm done. Like if that's the answer, goodbye.
I felt like it was purgatory at times too, but I wasn't any less interested in the show.
Okay.
So weird.
I know.
A lot of people's dissatisfactions, I don't understand how it leads them to just abandon it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh, it's purgatory? That's stupid. Well, have you been enjoying it so far? If you haven't, then yeah, peace out. But if you're liking it, I don't think you should just give up on it because you think you solved it.
Yeah, exactly. Saeed and Charlie are racing towards the black smoke. Charlie soon falls behind and loses Saeed, but finds him next to the plane that crushed Boone. They take a break as Saeed explains that the plane was from Nigeria and the 2 men inside were drug smugglers dressed as priests. Saeed breaks open one of the statues and shows Charlie that the plane was filled with heroin. Charlie stares at it in silence.
Charlie.
Why did it have to be heroin? Why couldn't it have been any other drug?
Because the island is testing him, Randy. Let me be your Locke for a second here.
Oh, please.
He has to make the choice. I'm a little disappointed in Charlie.
Yeah. We don't actually see him use the heroin, but he definitely takes it. It's like,
I have no pity for him at this point.
Why?
When I see, we're not there quite yet, but when I see him, that he did take some of the heroin, I have no pity because he broke free. He's no longer detox. He doesn't need these drugs. He's just like choosing them. And before I could kind of blame his brother, peer pressure and his lifestyle and environment. But now we can only blame Charlie. Like it's just him and his choice. And so I just this is where he like, totally loses me.
Wow. I mean, I disagree. We know I love Charlie, but...
I love Charlie, too. He's still lovable, but, like, I just don't feel sorry for him.
I do. I mean, you could make the argument that part of the reason why he was able to make that choice and break free was he knew, like, that one bag of heroin that he gave Locke, that was all he had left. And it's only been, like, a month since he... was addicted to that stuff and using it almost every day. Like, that's not that much time. And for him to just be just presented with that out of the blue with, like, no warning whatsoever. I mean, he was addicted to that stuff for a long time, so...
Yeah, but I feel like you can excuse away the way it started because of, like, circumstances. But now I just feel like he doesn't have that chemical dependency that he did when he was dealing with Locke and the moth, where, like, that was hard because he was going through his detox and, like, he was just sick. And so I can understand him, like, craving it then. But now, you're clean and it's just disappointing.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you hear stories about people who are addicted to drugs and alcohol who, are clean for decades and then all of a sudden they fall off. It's like such a lifelong, like I'm lucky enough not to be struggling with any of those things. I'm not addicted to drugs or alcohol, but I feel like it's like an everyday struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I can just see, like, when I think about this scene and I try and put myself in Charlie's shoes, not that I have any experience in this, but I can totally, like, it would take such a strong person to not take that opportunity and take that heroin when it's only been a few weeks since he was using that stuff every day. That's just how I see it.
Yeah.
But
no, I get that. And that's definitely the more compassionate view. I think I'm just a little more cold. I'm just like, nope. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, and we know how I feel about Charlie, so I'm a little more sympathetic to whatever he does.
Yeah.
Jack, Kate, Locke, and Hurley are heading carefully back to the hatch. Hurley and Locke are discussing what could be inside the hatch. Hurley's hoping for TV dinners, multiple TVs with Gable, and Twinkies. Locke thinks that hope is inside the hatch. Which, okay, Locke.
So great.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh my god, Randy.
Things are getting pretty creepy in dark territory, and this is where part 1 ends on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like such a weird way to cut off this episode, but...
It's not weird. We landed on the perfect line. I think hope is inside.
Oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. Please stop.
Man, Randy, when we started this, I knew I was gonna have to fight you on Sawyer. I did not know all the Locke fighting I was gonna have to do.
I know! I didn't know how much you loved him. This is crazy.
He's amazing. I just thought everyone loved him. Locke is here to find his purpose. So powerful.
It's just so, everything he says is so poetic and prophetic, and like every time anyone asks him a question, he never gets a straight answer. It's just like...
But he is giving a straight answer. It's his straight answer. Like, that's what he wants. That's all he wants. What does John Locke need in life? All he needs is hope that things are gonna get better. That is all he's ever needed.
Alright. You really love him.
I really do. Because he just speaks to all the parts of the show that I enjoy, which are all the philosophy and the, is this right, is this wrong, like, that's what I come to Lost for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely a complex character.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the end of part 1. Bum, bum, bum. So, part 3.
Yep.
Picks up, and Jack, Kate, Locke, and Hurley are walking when we hear the crickety whispers of the smoke monster. Jack and Kate turn to see a flicker of black smoke dart between the trees. They're understandably freaked out, and then something bigger erupts from the ground, pulling up trees with it, and everyone but Locke runs. Locke carefully begins walking towards the monster, while Jack screams and runs after him. Somehow he loses Locke in about 2 seconds, but Locke has found the monster. It knocks him to the ground, and he stares at it, in wonder and in horror. We don't get to see what he sees, but he gets up and he runs. We keep hearing the mechanical noises, and we see Locke get picked up and dragged through the jungle. We get glimpses of something dark, and it pulls him into a hole. But Jack grabs him just before he slips in. Jack yells for Kate to get the dynamite, but when she reaches for her bag, he tells her he put it in his own. Locke is shouting to let him go, that he'll be alright. With Jack telling her to throw the dynamite into the pit, and Locke telling her not to, Kate ultimately throws it in, and we see the black smoke burst out of the ground behind them and fly away into the jungle. So, hello, smoke monster. This is our first visual, official visual.
Yeah, lots of visuals. I feel like lots of sounds, too, that we get to hear.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's more or less menacing now that we actually have seen it?
I feel like it's more menacing, just because it's just more freaky, because it's not anything tangible. All we get to see is that it's smoke. And yet we know if it's killed people, it's dragging Locke through the jungle.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because I think not seeing it is scarier.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's just the imagining I find to always be kind of creepier. But then when I actually see it, I'm like, okay, I can kind of get a handle on this, I guess.
So it takes the mystery out of it, kind of?
Yeah, because I feel like the mystery is part of the fear for me. But it still makes absolutely no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that seeing this monster, even though it is clearly horrifying, even though it drags him through the jungle, it still doesn't shake Locke's faith.
Yeah, what are you doing?
He still wants them to let him go. He just wants to completely submit himself to the island.
Makes no sense. I mean, to me, when I watch this is kind of proof that Locke doesn't have this special connection with the monster that he thinks he has. Because it was clearly dragging him to, I would assume, kill him. And he says later to Jack, he's like, I would have been fine, whatever, you should have let me go. But Locke is clearly terrified and is running away from this thing, after he goes after it initially. So, it's frustrating to me.
Yeah, I can see completely why you say that. It does kind of seem like maybe he should not be putting his faith into this.
Yeah.
I just kind of admire him for doing it. He is so convicted. He has the ultimate faith, and it can't be shaken.
Lunatic. That's crazy. God. Also, I feel like, because in this scene, Kate finds out that Jack actually took the dynamite for himself instead of giving it to her like they were agreed upon. But I feel like it's a good thing he did that, because when they initially start running, when the monster comes out, Kate doesn't put down her backpack like she was supposed to. Locke puts his down gently on the ground, and so does Jack. Kate just takes off running. So presumably if the dynamite had been in her bag, she would have been dead. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. I saw that and I was
funny.
Jeez, Kate. Cause and then when she runs up to Jack when he's trying to get Locke out of that pit, she still has her backpack on. She's been running with it. So it's
yeah.
Oh, Kate.
She definitely would have blown up.
Yeah. So that, I feel like that to me also makes me, Jack was trying to protect her. Maybe he saved her life, basically, is how I look at it. But
of course that's how you look at it.
Yeah.
On the raft, Michael is very impressed with the dictionary that Sun made for Jin. He tells him, I hope you know how lucky you are. He hands Jin back the watch that they once fought over, but Jin gives it back to him, saying, you. And Michael awkwardly thanks him. This is so nice.
Yeah. It's such a nice gesture.
Yeah, Jin is just, he's letting go of the past completely. I admire that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is him, like, kind of releasing all that pressure he felt from Sun's father and, like, all that bitterness he had.
Definitely. Here's my question, though. This might be a dumb question, but way back in House of the Rising Sun, didn't Michael... What happens in the scene? Does Michael gives the watch to Jin and then Jin gives it back to Michael, right?
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, because in House of the Rising Sun, at the end of that episode, didn't Michael throw the watch at Jin and was like screaming at him, "This is just a watch, like you have it."
Yeah.
So why does Michael now have this watch again?
I don't know. He shouldn't.
Yeah, like I was thinking, was there another scene where we saw...
Nope.
Okay.
I think you're right. That's a really good catch, and I just didn't notice it because I was too caught up in the symbolicness of it.
Yeah, no, it's such a lovely gesture, but that was bothering me the whole time I was watching it. I was like, wait, did I forget about a scene or something?
He shouldn't have that dang watch.
Yeah. But
you stole that watch. You better give it back.
Yeah. It seems like such a, like, I'm assuming it is a mistake. It seems like the writers, it seems strange that they didn't catch it.
It must have just been one of those things that slipped through because they didn't write Jin's episode. So, I don't know. I can only guess.
True.
Sun sits with Claire and asks what Aaron's name means, but Claire doesn't know. She reassures her that Charlie will bring him back. And I feel like this is like the greatest segue into the name segment that we could ever have. So,
yeah.
Let's talk about what Aaron means.
Okay.
Aaron is, of course, a Hebrew name from the Old Testament, which we talked about in the last episode, how Exodus is so connected to the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
In the book of Exodus, Moses leads the Israelites out of slavery to the Promised Land, and Aaron is Moses' brother, and it is his rod that creates miracles and plagues to intimidate the Pharaoh. So after the departure, Aaron is named the first priest, and promised that all of his descendants will form the priesthood. So, in this Exodus metaphor that we have, we maybe can expect Aaron to be the cause of some miracles and also some very dark things.
Oh, wow. I like that connection.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah. That's really cool.
I feel like so much of this stuff is just, like, if you're really watching this live with us, you need to, like, listen again after you know everything, because so much of it, I feel like I bring in my future knowledge, and it's just even more impressive.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely.
But who do you think is Moses in all this? Do you feel like there's a direct connection to that whole metaphor?
Like, which one of the characters do I think could represent Moses?
Yeah, like, I was thinking, like, who is leading them to the Promised Land? Is this like a Locke thing?
Yeah.
Or am I reading too deep into this?
It has. Yeah, that's what I would say. Definitely.
Like, who else could it be, right?
Yeah.
He's been guiding everybody this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just so great.
Has to have been Locke.
Locke, our Moses, leading us through. Randy's not on board. She's Team Raft.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. We cut to Charlie and Saeed running through the jungle. Charlie nearly gets himself killed, setting off one of Rousseau's traps and causing a pile of rocks to land on his head. He's bleeding too badly, and Saeed tells him he has to return to camp. But Charlie refuses and tells Saeed that he's a soldier. He has to think of something to help him. Saeed, being the crafty son of a bitch that he is, removes a bullet from one of the gun clips and pours gunpowder into Charlie's wound. He lights a match and tells him this won't be pleasant, and it most certainly does not look pleasant.
Ugh. I remember when I first watched the scene, I was like, that looks awful.
Yeah, Charlie is lucky he's not scarred for life after this.
Yeah. Jesus.
He's also lucky his whole face didn't explode.
Yeah. So true.
Saeed really does have a solution for everything.
Yeah. He's so capable.
In a flashback, Hurley is here to provide us with a little comic relief. It seems that the power went out in his hotel room and he's running late for his flight now. He battles one obstacle after the next, including a full elevator, a faulty car, and a very rude airline worker who tells him that he's too overweight to purchase just one seat, and he's also at the wrong terminal. He just wasn't meant to make this flight. But Hurley runs, and he pays a handicapped man $1,600 to borrow his electronic scooter, and he hightails it through the airport. There are about 1 million references to the numbers, and eventually Hurley makes it to gate 23. Giving the flight attendant a giant hug when she lets him onto the plane.
Oh, Hurley.
Breath of fresh air. That's all I ever think with Hurley. I'm like, whew, that was fun.
It's just so ironic that he was so close to missing this flight, and then he only got on, by the skin of his teeth. And look what happened.
Yep. Similar to Saeed, who wasn't supposed to be on this flight either.
Oh, God.
Back on the island, Hurley is chanting the numbers over and over again, but when Kate asks if they mean anything, he says no. Jack walks up to Locke, and Locke tells him that they should be walking further apart. Jack responds, "If we blow up, we blow up," because he's a little unhappy about Locke's decision to face the smoke monster head on. Jack tells him it would have killed him, but Locke doubts that. Jack says he needs to know why he believes that he needs to know what is going on in Locke's head. So he tells him. He says he believes he was being tested, that this is why he and Jack just don't see eye to eye, because Jack is a man of science and Locke is a man of faith. He asks Jack if he really feels like everything that has happened to them in this place is just a coincidence, that they all landed completely unharmed from the crash. Locke says everything here has happened for a reason. They were all brought here for a purpose, by the island. He tells Jack that the island chose him, and this is destiny. Jack asks what Boone would think about destiny, but Locke says Boone was a sacrifice the island demanded. It all led them down a path that ends at the hatch. Jack says no, they're opening the hatch so they can survive. But Locke says survival is relative. Jack shakes his head and tells him he doesn't believe in destiny. Yes, you do, says Locke. You just don't know it yet.
God. I want to punch Locke after this scene. It's
oh my God, are you serious?
Are you serious? It's so ridiculous. Oh my God.
It's not that ridiculous.
Okay, explain to me why it's not ridiculous.
How can you see all the things happening on this island and not think there is something going on here? This is not a normal place. It is a miracle that they all are totally fine and actually better than before they crashed, in Locke's case and in a couple other people's cases.
I guess, but just the things he's saying, like, no, the monster wasn't going to hurt me, I was fine. Then why were you running away terrified? Like,
I think that was his instinct, like, it is scary, but then he stopped and thought, this is a test of my faith, and he turned around.
It's just ridiculous. Like, when he says Boone was a sacrifice the island demanded. Like, you know what, Locke sounds like, if you didn't know the situation he was in, and I heard him talk this way, he sounds like he's joined a cult, and the island is like their leader / god that they worship. One of those like crazy...
It sounds like he's religious. That's what it sounds like, because religion to anyone outside of it sounds crazy.
Yeah, it does sound like he's religious, but when he's talking this way, I can't help thinking it's, one of those crazy religious cults that you hear about where people do extreme things in the name of whatever they're worshiping.
Yeah.
Like, he's essentially saying in this scene, like, Boone had to die, that had to happen. And, like, even though Locke was miraculously healed when he landed on this island, I'm still not sure that warrants the amount of faith that he's put in it. Especially, people have died. Like, he was almost dragged by the monster to possibly also die. Like, the whole thing, I'm with Jack on this. I'm like, you're out of your goddamn mind, Locke.
I completely understand why Jack feels that way. And I wouldn't say I'm like completely on Locke's side, but like I get where he's coming from, and I really don't see it any differently than I do any religion. When someone has someone die, they tend to say things like, it was meant to be this way, like this is what God wanted, or whoever. Like, people say stuff like that all the time. So I don't think it's that crazy for Locke to be, the island is his religion. That's pretty well established at this point. So he's just treating it that way. And it seems a little crazy because we're so conditioned to see religion as normal. And for someone to see something like an island as a religion just seems a little weird. But I don't think it's that different.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue it's definitely similar, but I mean, maybe it has to do with whether you're religious or not. Because I'm not. And like you said, when people say things like, when people die and they say things like, oh, they're in a better place, like this had to happen, it was all part of God's plan. Like, I mean, it's so infuriating when people say that. Again, these are just my personal opinions, so.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I'm not religious at all. Have never gone to church or anything. Like, I'm as unreligious as they come. But I think that's actually why I feel this way, because I've always viewed religions from an outside perspective. And, sometimes it seems crazy to me what other people believe, but that's what they believe. And, that's just, it's something that, I don't know, I try hard to accept in other people. Like, that's, your choice and your belief, and that's cool. And I'm just here to be like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you think that. Like, it doesn't make me mad when people think differently than I do.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say it makes me mad either. Like, I can definitely get on board with, believing whatever you want to believe. And maybe, like, I'm also coming at it from a different, like, I used to go to church religiously. I was in youth group for years and years, so I'm very familiar with how, for like a long time.
Yeah, that's a very different perspective from mine.
Yeah, but I feel like, even with like religions in the real world, it becomes a problem when you start, like, other people start getting hurt as a result of that belief. You know what I mean? So if Boone hadn't died, I feel like it would make me this whole thing would make me a little bit less angry.
So you still blame Locke for Boone's death?
I don't blame him for that death, but his response to it and the fact that he says Boone was a sacrifice the island demanded, like, I don't know, when he says that, there's just something so wrong about that. Like, can you imagine if Shannon had overheard that? Like, she would have gone crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think Locke believing all that is led to Boone's death. Like, it's not because he feels that way that Boone died. That's just how he has reacted to Boone's death.
Right, but
it's not dangerous.
It just makes me think that kind of thinking is getting dangerous, will get more dangerous in the future.
Gotcha,
like, if Locke's thinking right now, oh, that was a sacrifice the island demanded, maybe there'll be other sacrifices that the island will demand.
Yeah.
Like when Jack says later we're going to have a Locke problem, I'm like, yeah, you are going to have a Locke problem. You already have a Locke problem.
And I want to punch him in the face.
My God. How are we going to talk about the rest of the show?
I don't know. Because I'm like, get off your high horse, Jack. Oh my God.
I'm like, absolutely, Jack. You already have this problem. Like, I 100% agree.
I mean, this whole conversation is it is so interesting. It really lays the groundwork for all the conflict we're going to see between these two characters in the future. Mm-hmm. And Jack does irritate me a lot in this scene.
Okay.
This is one of those few times where in the writing, Jack didn't bother me at all, because I completely understand rationally why he feels the way he does. I'm like, yep, that's a really solid argument. You're right. It's like the way Matthew Fox is playing him that I don't like, because he's so clearly like disgusted with Locke, and I just can't handle it. He's like rolling his eyes at everything he says. He's like shaking his head and he's got these bug-eyed look and he just looks so irritated. And I'm like, you're not listening to him. You're not asking him why he feels this way.
Because it's ridiculous.
It may seem ridiculous, but he's also seen his dead father running through the jungle and Locke helped him out and didn't tell him he was crazy. Like, just take a second to try and listen to this person who's been like hunting boar for you and has been like an overall good guy. Like,
I don't know about that.
You think Locke is a bad guy?
I didn't say that, but I mean, I don't think he's an overall good guy. He's done some questionable stuff. Like
some questionable stuff, but overall he's been good, and I feel like I don't know.
Jack's still angry about what happened to Boone, I feel like. I don't know. When I watch this scene, like, all of Jack's reactions, everything Matthew Fox is doing, like, that's exactly what I'm feeling and thinking. Like, to the T. I just can't, even knowing what I know about Locke, and Jack doesn't know about Locke's, miracle that he had happened to him.
It just feels so arrogant to me that he doesn't even consider someone else's opinion. Like, that just really bugs me. And like Locke said earlier, like he couldn't tell people the stuff he was doing because they wouldn't understand. And it's like, he's proving his point. Like, you can't explain why you feel this way because people are just going to judge you and be mad because you even said anything at all.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like this would be different in different circumstances. Like, if Locke was just standing on the beach, or if Locke and Jack were sitting together on the beach and Locke was explaining all this calmly, like, almost as like, this is what I believe, blah, 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 it would be different. But, I mean, they've got dynamite, Ars just died earlier, Boone's dead. Not that that was Locke's fault, but like, this is like life and death situations. And when Jack's trying to get him to explain, he's just saying things like, Boone is a sacrifice the island demanded. And he sounds crazy. And like when he says to Hurley, like, I think hope is in that hatch. Like, people are dying. The others are coming. This is serious. Jack doesn't have time to like sit down and have a conversation about his theories and philosophies. Like, he's not making any sense.
But he asked for them. He said, tell me what's going on in your head, and then he didn't listen to it.
Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just nonsense.
I just don't understand that, because like if someone said stuff like that to me, I'd be like, why do you think that? Like, tell me more. Not like, you're stupid, I'm leaving. Like, that's what I get from him. It just feels really petulant.
He's not petulant, he just doesn't understand. And I don't understand either, so I relate to it. I get not understanding. I just don't get the like anger. Don't be mad you don't understand. Just try and figure it out. I mean, what's to figure out? Like, Locke said what he has to say, and it doesn't make sense.
I think that why might help. Why do you think that?
Locke would have just, if Jack had kept asking questions, Locke would have just come up with non-answers, all his poetic answers, like, I believe in fate,
but he
and
doesn't
hope
even
and
try.
destiny.
He needs to try.
They don't have time to try. The others are coming, like, they're not sitting on a couch watching TV having a discussion. Like, they're holding dynamite. They have things to do.
I know, but he's the one who started this conversation.
Oh, God.
We're gonna go in circles on this.
Yeah.
I see our future conflicts brewing. It has nothing to do with Sawyer.
I know. This is crazy.
So funny.
Yeah.
I love that we come from such fundamental, like, different philosophies on all of this.
I do
It makes this so much more interesting.
I agree. It would be so boring if we agreed on everything. So
No, we would have been done like an hour ago.
I know.
Maybe we would still have our voices.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. We cut to Locke in the airport. Apparently there's a special wheelchair that they use to load handicapped passengers onto the plane, but they can't find it right now. So they ask if they can carry him on board. Begrudgingly, he agrees, and we watch as our mighty John Locke is carried to his seat. He's obviously embarrassed, and I just can't with this guy because my heart hurts too much. It just breaks my heart.
It's sad.
Like, would Jack care, do you think, if he knew what Locke had been through to get to this point? Do you think it would, like, create a different reaction in him, or would he react the exact same way?
I think he would care. I think especially coming from the perspective of being a doctor, like, yeah, I think he would absolutely care. Especially with what happened with his wife, Sarah, and how he kind of miraculously saved her.
Yeah.
I think Jack would be a lot more understanding if he knew.
That would be such an interesting conversation.
I know. I wish we could.
I'm trying to remember if, like, in the future we ever get that, but I'm not sure we do.
Not sure we do either.
It's nighttime on the raft, and Sawyer and Michael are trying to decide if they should turn the radar on. They have limited battery, but Saeed told them to turn it on every hour. Eventually, they turn it on, and Sawyer commends Michael on his patience with Walt, saying that he would have hit him a long time ago. Michael asks if that's what Sawyer's father did to him, but Sawyer tells him how his father killed himself when he was 8 years old. Michael asks if that's why Sawyer wants to die. And then Michael explains to everyone why Sawyer wants to be on the raft. Either he's a hero, or he wants to die. Sawyer looks shocked, and he says he ain't no hero. And suddenly, there's a beeping on the radar. And this is such an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I can't believe Michael brought it to us.
I know. We were talking about this, I feel like, a few episodes ago.
Yeah, we were. We were trying to figure out why Sawyer would want to be on the raft.
Yeah.
So it's like an interesting dichotomy that Michael presents. I feel like for the past 3 hours, we've seen nothing but heroic Sawyer. But I don't know. Like, it's too soon to call him a hero. But I think the show is really trying to get us to question Sawyer's intentions here. And I don't think he's here to die. If he really thought this was a suicide mission, I don't think he would be helping as much as he is. Like, diving into the water to, like, get the rudder, and I don't know.
You could argue that he is here because it's such a risky situation, and he's always looking for new ways to punish himself. But in those split-second moments, like we were talking about earlier, he, like, does go, you know, he does dive in and save the rudder. Like, if he doesn't have a chance to think about it, then he's gonna do the heroic thing.
Yeah, it's like he's a hero who's holding himself back sometimes.
All the time. Yeah.
Well, not all the time, like with the rudder, you know?
Yeah, like most of the time, but.
This whole finale, I feel like, has been heroic Sawyer. He's been, like, chopping down trees, and he brought them their mast, and he fixed the raft, and he just hasn't really taken a wrong step.
Yeah, except for this parenting advice he gives Michael.
It's horrible parenting advice. Yes.
But yeah, you're right for the most part.
And then I had the thought that, like, if it really was just be a hero or die, like, even if you think that this is a suicide mission, choosing to go on it is a little heroic in itself because you're preventing someone else from dying. Do you know what I mean? It's like a self-sacrificing thing.
Yeah. That's true. I wonder if I don't know if he was thinking about it that way, but I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. It may say more about Michael than Sawyer, you know? Like maybe, like Michael views it this way. Like he views himself as a hero for being on this raft and going to save everybody.
Yeah, it's hard to think that Michael would feel that way, but maybe you're
actually,
right.
I can totally see him feeling that way. Like, I'm awesome. I'm getting my kid off the island.
That's true. I was just thinking he was like, man, forget all those people stuck on that island. They're probably going to die. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm not saying he cares about them.
Yeah, okay.
But I think he does want to be a hero to Walt.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Man, that's really an interesting thought because it just makes me think about how this is going to affect him when he realizes that this quote-unquote heroic choice led to Walt's kidnapping.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so... Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
If you thought you were doing the heroic thing and then it winds up so horrible, that could break you.
Yeah. Yeah, you could argue that this does break Michael because everything he does from now on is just... Man.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
Saeed and Charlie have reached the source of the black smoke pillar. It's a huge fire pit, and they hear Aaron crying nearby. We hear Danielle crying too, and Saeed tells her to please come out. She does, saying, they were not here. She says she just wanted her Alex back. She wanted to trade Aaron for Alex. She cries, and Saeed tells her that it's okay, taking the baby from her arms. He hands Aaron to Charlie, and the baby stops crying, which I think is a sweet detail.
Yeah.
Charlie is real pissed, though, and he accuses Rousseau of starting the fire herself. But Rousseau says she heard the whispering that the others were coming for the child, for the boy. Echoing the girl in the hotel room, Charlie calls her pathetic and walks away. Poor Rousseau.
I know. You can't help but feel bad for her in this scene.
I know. Like, I don't condone these actions.
Yeah.
But I understand them, and Saeed is right. She's just a desperate mother, and I just feel sorry for her.
Yeah, she's lost her child, and she's basically spent 16 years living alone. It's so tragic.
It is. Gosh.
Yeah, I like that callback too, that Charlie calls her pathetic, which is what that girl called him in the flashback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you're pathetic, Charlie, for picking up that heroin.
That was uncalled for. Okay.
Back with our Hatch team, Kate asks Jack why he moved the dynamite to his own pack. He says that he made a judgment call, and he wasn't going to let straws decide something so important. She tells him he had no right to make that decision. Jack says that everyone wants him to be a leader until he makes a call that they don't like, and he chastises her for second-guessing him. He tells her that if they survive tonight, they're gonna have a Locke problem, and he wants to know that Kate has his back. She says she does. And like I said before, Jack makes a very fair point here. I think he's honestly just learning how to lead right now, and it's really freaking hard. Like, people are annoying and they disagree with you all the time, and someone's going to disagree with pretty much every decision you make.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I do think, like, he's not doing it perfectly, and that sometimes he gets a little, like, dictatory. He just decrees something and gets a little controlling, and he thinks it's in, like, everyone's best interest, and it's not, like, done in a way to hurt anyone. But it comes off as controlling sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue that sometimes it is controlling. But, yeah, I feel like a lot of people's main problem with Jack is that they don't agree with his decisions. Like, he makes decisions not everyone likes. And he says in the scene, like, people just need to get in line. Like, I know they didn't sit down and have an election, but
people just need to get in line. That is the words of a dictator.
I don't see him as a dictator.
I don't normally. It's just the way he talks in this conversation.
It would be different if Jack had wanted to be a leader. If he had, like, gone after this aggressively. But he didn't. So, I get it.
It's just the way he's talking down to her and, like, talking
He's not
about
talking
Locke.
Down to her.
He is when he's telling her, like, it's not your right to make a decision. Like, it's just, I don't like that. I don't like stripping people of their agency. Like, give people a choice in what they want to do.
But again, he's not stripping. He was doing his whole reason for taking away the dynamite from her was to protect her. If there had been any other reason he was doing it, yes, that would have been problematic. He would have been taking away her choice. But he was doing it to protect her. And Kate, and she would have been dead anyway, so.
If Lux threw someone to the smoke monster and said he was doing it to protect everyone else, like, we wouldn't be okay with that. Like, the way you do something matters. The way Locke does something.
But that wouldn't make any sense if Locke threw someone to the smoke monster to protect them. We're talking about dynamite. Like, Jack was doing that to protect her.
Okay, well, Locke puts the mystery paste on Boone so that he comes to realization. You know, like, the way he does that is maybe not okay, even though the results turn out good. I mean, like, yeah, that's how I see this. I don't feel like it's any different.
Two different things, though. It's different.
It is and it isn't. It's just, I don't know. That's just how I see it. And I feel like the way he talks about Locke, like he's just like a nuisance, it just bugs me. That's also my personal affection for Locke, but it just irritates me.
Yeah, and I agree with Jack. I mean, I think they already have a Locke problem. He's obviously going to do whatever is necessary to protect the island that he worships, like, no matter the cost or the sacrifice. Maybe next time the island will demand someone else die, and that'll just be a sacrifice that Locke's like, okay, fine. Like, you just don't know with him. He's such an enigma. True. It's so hard.
Yeah. It's totally true.
But yeah, and I'm also just in the scene, I'm like, Kate, you should really be thanking Jack for saving your life. But, you know.
Of course you are.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, that is really funny with the backpacks. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. And I was reading, I was looking at like the bloopers continuity errors that they always list those on this website for each Lost episode. And that was listed in there almost like it was an unintentional error. But I don't read it that way because just the way that Jack, I mean, they specifically show both Jack and Locke carefully putting down their backpacks.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good character detail for Kate.
Right.
That, you know, she just kind of, like, she's not a careful person. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hurley suddenly notices the numbers imprinted on the hatch. He tells Locke to stop, but Locke lights the fuse anyway. Hurley tries to stomp it out, screaming the numbers are bad, but it's too late. It blows. Back on the raft, whatever's triggering the radar is closer to them now. Sawyer wants to shoot the flare gun, but they only have one flare, so Michael's hesitant. He says maybe Saeed's radar doesn't even work. Sawyer correctly points out that everything Saeed makes works. Whatever it is, turns away from them, and Sawyer says that whatever it is can steer, so it has to be worth signaling. Michael concedes and shoots the flare into the air. Everyone waits, and they see on the radar that whatever it is coming right towards them. This scene is so tense, like waiting for that thing to get there, and they hold it for a really long time, and it's so stressful, like wondering what it could be, and like they don't put any music, it's just really, really quiet.
Yeah, the build up to it it's great.
Suddenly a light shines on them. Happy music plays, and everyone cheers victoriously because holy moly, this plan worked really fast. As it approaches, it seems to be a group of fishermen. Everyone starts excitedly telling them that they're survivors of a plane crash. But the spokesperson on the boat says, that's great and all, but they're gonna have to take the boy. Everyone's looking real scared, and Sawyer looks like he could claw a dude's eyes out in a heartbeat. Michael asks what's going on, but the man says, just give him the boy. Sawyer reaches for his gun, and when they turn the lights off, he shoots. But someone shoots him, and Sawyer falls off the raft. Jin leaps into the water after him, and the quote-unquote fishermen board the raft, knocking Michael into the water and pulling Walt to the boat. They toss an explosive onto the raft, blowing it up and driving away with Walt. Michael is in the water, screaming Walt as they go.
Oh man, this scene, it's kind of brilliant the way it plays out.
Yes, it is. Every little detail, every little step, it's just like one thing after another heightens the stress of it.
Yeah. And it's like the way that triumphant music starts playing, everyone's so happy at first. Like,
yes,
I thought for sure that this was it. I was like, oh,
I know.
Great. This is done now. They're rescued.
This worked really well.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Good job.
Right.
Yeah, I love that they play that triumphant, happy music because so many times I feel like TV shows kind of spoil what's going to happen because of the music. And this music just plays right along. And I'm like, yay, we did it. And then the music kind of fades away and we start asking some questions and things are starting to sound kind of weird. And we're like, okay, this is strange. And then it gets really stressful. And then Sawyer pulls his gun out and boom, it's just like everything happens in like 30 seconds, just so quickly.
Yeah. It's like you go through so many emotions watching this scene. Like, you're so happy at first, and then when that guy says, we're gonna have to take the boy, it's like this spike of fear that just goes through. You're like, wait, what? And then, like you said, in 30 seconds, it all goes to shit. Everyone's freaking out.
I know. And it's so disturbing how efficiently it's done.
Yes.
Like, they're clearly, like, well prepared. They've got this freaking bomb ready to blow up the raft. It's just crazy.
Right. It's a great callback, of course, to what Rousseau told Saeed and Charlie about how she heard they were coming for the boy.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously, we now know wasn't Aaron, but it was Walt, so...
And this is where we leave this storyline. Like, this isn't the end of the episode, but this is the end of this storyline, and you just gotta imagine, in 2005, you were left hating for many, many months.
Months and months and months.
At this, like, they're 15 miles away from the island, in the middle of the ocean with no raft. I was like, they're definitely gonna die.
Yes. Yeah, and it just creates, I have like 1,000 new questions after watching this scene about the others, like, cause I assumed it was the others, like, oh, they have a boat, like, they're not, maybe they aren't stuck on the islands, like the people who crashed on the plane. Like, up until this point, I just assumed they were just people who were also stuck on the island, but it's like, no, they have a boat, they have resources, like, who are these people?
I remember feeling like, I wasn't even sure that the others were real until now.
Yeah.
Like, we had Ethan, but he was so nutty.
Yeah.
It was, like, possible that he was just, like, a rogue Rousseau kind of situation.
True.
And then everything else is just kind of whispers. We don't get a lot of, like, indication of what we're dealing with. So I was, like, not even sure that these were real people. But here... yeah, it's definitely a strong indication of others.
Yeah. Oh, it's creepy.
Very creepy. Did you have any theories on, like, why they would tank Walt?
No, I think initially I just thought they were going to do, like, crazy experiments on him or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea either.
'Cause, like, or it would seem they have this kind of obsession with children at this point, since they took Rousseau's baby.
Yeah.
16 years ago, now they're taking Walt. He's a kid. It's like, are they just collecting kids to...
Ethan took Claire.
Yeah.
Who was pregnant.
Exactly. Like, nothing... They can't be doing anything good with these children that they're taking. So, that's just what I thought. But
or maybe they're trying to protect the children from this bad, bad place that they shouldn't be in. Yeah. I definitely had that thought at different points.
Wow. Okay. You were a lot nicer to them in your thoughts than I was.
Well, I don't know if it was niceness. It was more like a dismal outlook on the island.
Yeah.
I did feel like it was maybe a punishment to be there at some points. To punish children just didn't seem right.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I also, this is a small detail, but I love how Sawyer calls Michael and Jin Han and Chewie.
I liked that too.
Like, we have a couple of Star Wars references in this finale.
Yes, we do. I noticed that too.
Yeah, which obviously Carlton Cuse, Damon Lindelof, they're Star Wars fans, but I always enjoy that.
Yeah, and it's the perfect reference for Michael and Jen, who have their own secret language at this point.
Yeah, they do. It's great. I love it.
Charlie and Saeed make it back to camp, reuniting Claire with her baby. And Saeed with Shannon, who hugs him, obviously happy that he's okay. As Claire tends to Charlie's wounds, we get an ominous shot of the Virgin Mary statue he brought back with him. There's a montage of the rest of the characters boarding the plane. Pretty much no one looks happy. Kate looks ashamed. Charlie reeks of addiction. Locke watches with envy as Jack stands up and puts a bag away. Saeed tries to ignore the racist, accusatory looks he's receiving. Sun and Jin are together, but not together. Michael tightens the seatbelt of his son, who refuses to look at him. Shannon is looking for her inhaler, and Boone holds it up for her. Hurley actually does seem happy because, yay, he made the flight! He gives Walt a big thumbs up and sits down with his headphones. He pulls out the comic with a polar bear that Walt was reading on the island. Then, back at the hatch, everyone carefully approaches the blown-up door, Hurley making the sign of the cross.
Does Hurley make the sign of the cross? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, that's great. I didn't notice that.
It's perfect because he's so Catholic.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
Locke and Jack pull the mangled door out of the way and look down into a dark unknown. And bam, that is the shot they leave us with.
That sure is. Oh, do you remember when you watched that last shot for the first time? What you thought?
Yes. I was so freaking psyched.
Were you?
I was so happy. But I did not watch season 1 as it aired. I didn't come in until season 2. So the summer between season 1 and season 2 was when we went to college.
Uh-huh.
And we had our freshman orientation week. And that is what I did during freshman orientation week, is I watched Lost with some of my friends in the dorm.
Shut up. Are you serious? I didn't know that. Oh my God.
So that was how I started off. And that was like the end of August, right? So I was just really excited because I knew season 2 was about to start soon.
Oh man, you were lucky then.
I was lucky, though things were about to get darker and writer's strike and all sorts of horrible things happened for Lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, for season 1, I was pretty good. I got to binge season 1.
You're so lucky.
I'm lucky that one of my friends happened to be so obsessed with Lost already that he owned the DVDs.
Well, that was a true fan. That friend was.
So, thank God. Changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really just started going over to his dorm because he had air conditioning. And we were like, okay, we'll watch this show with you.
Oh, you were so lucky. Or he was so lucky.
He was so lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember first watching this. I think now looking back on it, it doesn't upset me as much because, of course, they weren't going to tell you what was in the hatch, and just reveal that whole secret all at once. That wouldn't have been smart writing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I remember when I first saw it, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, we've spent half of this season talking about the hatch, trying to figure out what it is, what's inside it, and all we get is that long shot of, a tunnel. And that's it. Oh, it was a hard 3 months for me to wait until season 2.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just an introduction into what you were about to experience with Lost.
Yeah, for sure.
Master of the cliffhanger.
Oh, so many yeah. This is like definitely one of the iconic cliffhangers that they loved us with.
Yeah, and I love that shot. It's completely iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that pull back from the camera down through the hatch and we just see Locke and Jack. It's so great.
Yeah, and that music. I love this last montage. Lost does montages so well, I feel like. I never get sick of them. Mm-hmm. It's just music. There's no talking.
Yeah, it's just tone. It's feelings.
Yeah.
And Lost is so good at that. It's hard, I think, to have an ensemble cast where you feel like everyone's getting their attention and everyone is contributing something. It's just so easy for characters to get kind of lost in the shuffle, and those montages really pull things together.
Yeah, definitely.
So, here we are at the end of this monstrous episode.
So long.
And the only big thematic question I had is just really similar to part 1. And I was asking, are we better off now? Because I feel like at the end of Exodus part 1, everything was very hopeful and triumphant.
Yep.
And now here we are with Walt being taken, and we're like looking down into the darkness of the hatch, like things are way more up in the air than they were before.
Mm-hmm. Definitely true.
I still feel like all these flashbacks and all these character moments that we've been getting this whole time. I feel like they're a sign of these characters evolving and everyone's becoming stronger, better people. But I don't know, is it worth it?
Yeah, I might argue that it's not. I don't know, again, like, the last shot they leave you with, I feel like I'm still kind of on Saeed's team, where it's like, don't go down there, it's only gonna lead to bad things.
So you would just not go down there?
Hell no! I would
Really?
never go down there.
Oh my gosh, I just can't imagine living on this island and just walking by that hatch every day and being like, nope, never gonna figure out what's in there.
Are you joking me? Like, the amount of the possibilities of what could be down there, in my mind, most of them are bad. So, in fact, whenever I always start thinking about the first episode of season 2, you remember when Kate just rappels down there by herself just because Locke needs someone to go down there? It always makes me so angry. And I'm like, why are you going down there? Have you lost your minds? Like, oh, it infuriates me that she does that.
That's so funny. It's just so funny because that's not even a possibility in my mind. Like, ignoring the fact that this hatch is here? What? No. Like, definitely not.
I'm too much of a coward. No.
It makes me think of when I was like a little kid and we would explore the woods and we would just, like, if we found something, we were totally entranced by it. It just feels the same way to me. And I guess that probably was a little dangerous sometimes, but
yeah,
it was so exciting.
I think I've lost that childlike wonder, especially now that I listen to so many true crime podcasts, which I know have nothing to do with this, but I'm just like, no, there could be a murderer down there. You don't know.
It sounds like these true crime podcasts are the crux of all your issues, Randy.
Oh, I know. I really need to stop listening to them, but
you need to listen to some hopeful podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I do, actually. I was listening to one last night before I was going to bed, and I was like, why am I listening to horrible, horrible murders before I go to sleep?
This is so indicative of our different philosophies. I'm listening to podcasts about Harry Potter and like interviews with people, relationship advice.
Yeah, I've got some issues I need to work out clearly, but
that's hilarious. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss in this grand finale? How did you feel overall?
I like this episode. I think it's a really good episode. The theme I wrote down is it was just science versus faith, which I feel like we've already talked about a ton.
Yeah.
You know, it's
definitely.
Like the main number one theme of Lost. They discuss it throughout the whole show.
Yeah, I think the only reason I didn't talk about that is because I know there's so much more to come.
Yeah.
I feel like we really dig into that one in season 2.
Yeah. They just hit that, you know, very hard in this finale. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, overall, it's a fantastic episode. There's a few little nitpicky scenes that bother me. You know, I mentioned them earlier. Some, like, continuity errors. But it's still pretty great. It wasn't as emotional as part 1 for me when I watched it, but it's a great episode.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not quite as emotional as part 1, but it's intense.
Yes, definitely.
It definitely leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I think we should wrap up our longest episode ever.
Do you?
Especially since we're both dying.
Yeah, please.
You guys don't even know. We've had to pause this recording. We've had to have coughing breaks.
Yeah, it's been rough.
It's just ridiculous. It's amazing we made it.
I know, it really is.
Virtual high five, Randy.
Yeah.
We did it. So, okay. We're going to hold off on discussing season 1 as a whole, even though that's kind of tempting right now. And we're going to talk about that in next week's episode, our season 1 wrap-up show.
Yay.
It's going to be so fun. I feel like it's going to be really different because we're not going to have our traditional format.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm excited.
Me too.
We are still collecting your feedback so that we can have lots of listener input for this episode. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please give us a call and leave a voicemail at 484-416-LOST with all of your Season 1 questions and comments. And then stop by our website, thelostpodcast.com, to answer a few poll questions that we've put up. This whole time you've been listening to our rants and ramblings, so I think it would be fabulous to hear from everyone else and, figure out just how far off base Randi and I are compared to everybody else.
Yeah, I would love to hear that. Definitely.
It's like the whole Boone thing. Like, you and I are so like, ugh, Boone sucks. But like, so many people love him.
Yeah. We need to know these things. We need to hear these opinions.
We do. Yes. Tell us when we're wrong. We need to know.
Yeah.
Or else we're just going to keep going on with our delusional beliefs.
Exactly.
As always, you can find us on social media and email us at frecklesandblondie@thelostpodcast.com. You can support the show by heading to iTunes and rate, review, subscribing there. And you can also donate $1 a month or whatever you can afford on our Patreon page. The link is on our website and in the show notes. So thank you as always for listening, and we're looking forward to hearing back from you on our Season 1 wrap-up show. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randi.
And this has been Freckles and Blondie.